There are days, my friends, when the news just feel kind of like a prank. Today, for a moment, I honestly thought that I misread the headlines. Canada and Korea building alliances at the G20, while the US under Trump is off somewhere haggling with Russia. Honestly, what are we even doing anymore, What is even going on here? In this video, I want to show you how the rest of the world is simply moving on without a US at the center, why Canada and Korea of all nations are suddenly steering the conversation, and why America, or at least Trump's America, is being left out in the cold. We'll look at three themes: how the G20 revealed a new global reality, what Trump's shadow diplomacy with Russia says about American decline, and the quiet way everyday people, even food culture, are leaving old superpowers behind. Before we dive in, a very quick note. My book, Awake, The Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Soft Lies, is out now. It's not just about critical thinking, it's about reclaiming clarity in a world full of noise like ours. If you're a builder, a leader, or just somebody who wants to think more clearly under pressure, this one is definitely for you. I've also added a 24-minute companion podcast that walks through the key concept in depth. So if you prefer to listen and reflect, that's now included as well. All the links are below, including a launch video that goes deeper into the themes. There's also a subscriber discount, so hit that button and check it out when you're ready. And one more very quick thing before we dive in. I'm building a course on AI fluency, as I am a computer scientist with a PhD in the field, for people who want to understand the technology shaping the next decade. If you want to help shape what the course becomes, I've made a very short 8-question quiz. It's literally like 2 minutes, and your answers will directly decide the content that I build next. The link is below. I'd really love your input, but anyway, let's get into today's story. I think it's hard to overstate the symbolism. Canada and Korea, not the United States, out front at the G20, forging deals, forming coalitions, drawing up new maps of influence, and the United States is absent in any meaningful way, except, of course, for the photo ops with Russia. Mark Carney, Canada's prime minister and a figure who in another era might have been seen as a junior partner to Washington, stood up and said almost flatly, the world can move on without the US. And he's kind of right? The G20 this year represented 3/4 of humanity, literally 2/3 of global GDP, 3/4 of global trade, all of it without the US at the center. Now, there is a strange dignity in watching a country like Canada, so often cast as America's polite neighbor, gently but firmly state that there is another table and everyone is invited except the loudest guest. Korea, too, no longer content to be the world's factory, now shaping culture, commerce, even cuisine, with a kind of confidence that feels almost subversive. And meanwhile, America's old friends are recalibrating. It's not anger, it's not even rebellion. It's the slow, deliberate walk away from somebody who keeps showing up late, drunk on their own power, insisting the party can't start without them. To think clearly here, you have to hold two conflicting ideas at once. America still has immense power, but power that alienates isn't the same as leadership that attracts. The world isn't waiting for permission anymore. Now, if you want a single scene that captures the mood, picture this. As the G20 quietly redraws global alliances, Trump's people are sitting in Miami with Russian envoys, hammering out a Ukraine plan so lopsided it may as well have been faxed in from Moscow. This is not just bad optics. I have so much to say on this topic. It's a reversal for decades of American foreign policy. The supposed deal being floated would force Ukraine to cede territory, shrink its military, and ban NATO troops, essentially a wish list written in Cyrillic, presented to Zelensky with an ultimatum: take it or lose US support. Come on. If you're Canadian, Korean, or frankly from any country that remembers the 20th century, this moment is chilling in its historical resonance. For years, the United States was the anchor of Western society, the voice in the room that kept the darkness at bay. Now it's a shadow, negotiating with adversaries in broad daylight, asking allies to take it or leave it. I can't help but imagine the ghosts of old Republicans, Reagan, Eisenhower, staring in disbelief. It's the kind of reversal that punishes both emotional thinking and apathy. You want to look away, but the consequences won't really let you. And here's what's most remarkable in my opinion. The rest of the G20 barely flinched. European leaders, Canada, Japan, and the so-called Group of Seven simply issued their own statement, rejecting territorial concessions, reaffirming Ukraine's right to defend itself, and moving forward without waiting for US approval. A good critical thinker doesn't just ask what happened, but who benefits from you reacting a certain way. If Trump's America is willing to act as Russia's back channel, what does that mean for anyone who still believes in the old alliances? The rest of the world is just not waiting to find out. Now, amid all of this geopolitic drama, something else is shifting almost invisibly. Power these days isn't just military or economic, it's also cultural. It's soft power the kind that makes people want to buy your products, watch your shows, or taste your food. And I think Korea understands this. While American diplomats are busy issuing threats and tariffs, Korean delegations are teaching the world to cook, literally. At the G20, Korea's First Lady is running cooking demos in South Africa, part cultural exchange, part business plan, and it's working. Food sales are booming, not just at home, but abroad as well. K-pop, Netflix dramas, Samsung phones, these are not just exports, they're actual invitations into Korean culture. It's something America used to excel at, right? When the US was the world's reliable partner, people wanted to be associated with its culture. But now America under Trump is selling something very different. Isolation, threats, bravado, buy from us or else. It's a mafia tactic disguised as a trade policy. And in contrast, Canada and Korea are using inclusion and quality to build influence. One festival, one trade deal, one chef at a time. It's a reminder that not all power looks like power. Sometimes the most radical thing you could do is offer somebody a good meal and a friendly handshake, right? By the way, we're really trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by Christmas, so if this is interesting to you, please consider clicking that subscribe button. Now, all of this is happening against the backdrop of growing chaos at home. While the world debates alliances, everyday Americans are feeling the pressure in their wallets, their workplaces, even at 30,000 feet. We've discussed this before in this channel. Check out those videos if you're curious. Consumer sentiment has cratered. The cost of living is up. Job security is down, and the official line is, just wait, it's going to get better. The numbers say otherwise. We've chatted about this before as well. UN's consumer confidence near historic lows. The highest risk of job loss since the last recession, basically. It's no wonder public frustration is spilling over into daily life, most notably in the skies, where flight attendants are reporting an epidemic of bad behavior, flights, and outbursts. Transportation officials are now releasing official videos on how to behave civilly on planes. Come on, how far have we fallen? Imagine that, a country that once said men to the moon now has to remind people to say please and thank you on a flight to Cleveland. If you want to understand the symbolic decay, look no further than this. 400% increase in in-flight incidents since 2019. 1 in 5 flight attendants has experienced physical aggression. The golden age of travel replaced by an era of simmering rage. Everybody is just boiling. None of this happens in a vacuum, of course. When leadership is chaotic, reality bends as well. When people feel unseen, standards collapse. And to think clearly, you have to resist the urge to write it all off as just politics. These are symptoms of a deeper malaise. There is a moment, I think, at every family dinner when you realize the adults are no longer in charge and the children are helping themselves to the wine. That's what the G20 felt like this year, responsibility shifting quietly but irrevocably to those who are ready to carry it. As somebody watching from the outside, it's hard not to feel both sorrow and relief. Sorrow for what America could be, relief that others are now willing to step up. The world is too complex, too fragile, too weight for a country that keeps looking backwards. To the question I asked at the start, would you trust the US as an ally now? I think the answer is obvious for most of us. You go where reliability, respect, and a bit of dignity still means something, right? It's the kind of moment that tests not just alliances, but the stories we tell ourselves about who belongs at the center and who gets to write the rules. And in the end, the world moves on. The only real question is, do you move with it or do you get left behind? If this kind of thinking resonates with you, if you want to understand how to navigate the noise, the hype, and the complexity of our current moment, I think you'd really enjoy my book. It's called Awake, the Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Self-Lies, and it's written for people who want to stay grounded, think clearly, and live in reality, even when the world makes that feel definitely impossible. I've also now included a 24-minute podcast episode where we unpack some of the ideas behind Awake in a much more relaxed, conversational way, perfect if you prefer to listen while walking, driving, or just taking a break from screens. You'll find the link to everything below. I'd love to know what you think of all of it. As always, thank you so much for being here and for thinking through these questions with me. If you like the conversation, consider subscribing for more. And don't forget to check out these other videos that I've linked here as the natural next step for a deeper dive. Until next time, stay awake.